Do you believe that work-life balance is a mindset or not? I definitely used to believe that it wasn't a mindset. If you would have asked me when I'd left teaching, I'd have said, no, absolutely not. It's a thing. And teaching stole that from me. But now I believe that life-work balance is a mindset. It's not actually real, is it? It all depends on what we feel about that balance. Yes, we can absolutely go one way or the other, majorly. But it also depends on how we feel about that. Now, when we're mentoring clients, everything we talk about is based on a framework for life-work balance. And I feel like that comes from Classroom Secrets. I started Classroom Secrets. One of the reasons was that I wanted to help teachers have a better life-work balance. That's our thing. We care about that a lot. And so what happens in education business is you often teach, leave the classroom, and then bring all of your bad habits with you. And you end up without a life-work balance again, which is exactly what happened to me. What I did was swap one highly stressful job for another highly stressful job and say that it was out of control and I couldn't do anything about it, that it's just the way it was. And I would say things like, oh, well, it's okay because last time I didn't have a choice in it. This time I'm building something for myself. Or I'd say things like, I enjoy it. And it's not to say that that's wrong, because life-work balance is a mindset. It's how you feel about it. So if you feel like working 70 hours a week on your business is what you should be doing and you're enjoying it, then that's absolutely fine. But then you also can't say, oh, I've got a terrible life-work balance, because you're choosing that balance. And if you had the mindset of, this is what I love to do with my life, then what's the problem, as long as you feel like you're fulfilling everything that you want to within your life? So our 5 principles are hire help, understand yourself, set clear boundaries, automation and technology, and develop a life-work balance mindset. And that's the crucial one, isn't it? The last one, develop a life-work balance mindset. Actually think about developing a life-work balance. And when we're mentoring clients, we do 2-to-1 mentoring, which basically means me and Ed mentoring a founder, or it could be more than one founder, which also happens, which ends up being 2-to-2 mentoring. We look for ways to move the business forward under these 5 principles. So how do we make sure that we get a better life-work balance? By developing our life-work balance, by using automation and technology, by setting clear boundaries, by understanding ourselves, and by hiring help. And it's interesting because sometimes some of the actions that are going to move the business forward fall under every single one of these categories, which is mind-blowing, isn't it, really? It shows you that the best way to grow a business that works really well is to make sure that you're not the integral part of it. But principle 5, develop a life-work balance mindset. That's the important one that we're talking about here. And the key thing is, it's how you feel about it. It's how you feel about it. So you could be working 70-hour weeks now, and you could say, oh yeah, but I love it. That's fine. But you have to have the matching mindset of, this is how I really want to be spending my time. If you feel like there's a fight with something else in your life, maybe you feel like you should be doing something else, or you want to do something else, but you're giving it to your business, then you're creating a resentment, and that's where the unbalance is. You know, it isn't like it was in teaching, is it? We can ask ourselves, how do I feel about this right now? Is it work or is it not work? So I can tell you that I've done a lot of work on holiday, but I don't see it as work. So I don't go around saying, oh yes, I work on holiday. Sometimes that's just big thinking, but I don't say, oh, that's work. And the interesting thing is as entrepreneurs, I feel like we're really quick to do that. Whereas when we were teaching, if we were at the seaside at the weekend and we had an idea for a lesson plan, we probably wouldn't say at that point that we were working. But when we're entrepreneurs and we have to do big thinking, we have to work on the business, we get into our heads that when we're doing things like that, we're working, which is fine. but it's how your brain classifies that and what that's then doing to your mindset and your body and how you feel about everything as well. There are going to be times in your business where you're going to have to work 70-hour weeks. Even if you've been in business a long time, I guess it could still happen. It depends what you've put in place in your team. It depends the situation your business is in. There might be something that happens in the marketplace and you have absolutely no choice. There are going to be times where you need to put 70 hours a week in, maybe more. But equally, if you set your business up correctly, hopefully there's going to be weeks that you're not needed at all. So you're looking for that balance, and what we need to understand is there is seasonality. So right now, Classroom Secrets does not need me as much because of what I've put in place to make sure that that's the case. But I really want to push for Education Business Club to be this new platform that is just like having a mentor in education business in your pocket. So I am pushing hard. I could push harder though by taking time from after school, for example, with the children. But I'm choosing not to. I'm taking a few hours here and a few hours there, maybe Saturday mornings, different things going on. But I could choose to push harder, and I've been thinking about this a lot actually, which is why I wanted to record this episode today. What am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? What does balance actually mean to me? How do I feel about Education Business Club? How do I feel about Classroom Secrets? How do I feel about the other things going on in my life? And how can I make sure that it feels like there is balance? Because balance is not real. It's based on my perception. I just have to perceive that it's in balance. But the important thing is no matter how hard I work on Education Business Club right now to get the club finished, everything is seasonal. So I can put a ton of work in now, launch it by the end of next week, work an absolute ton of hours, but that's not forever. I'm not signing myself up to work 100 hours every week. I'm doing that so that I don't need to do that in the long run. Then it would really dial down once it was available. So I really want you to have a think about that, because if you have been in the classroom, I think we can have this hangover and it can feel like you're switching one role where you've got no life-work balance to this other role where you do have control in that you can decide when you're going to work, but there's no life-work balance again in our mind. And then we can say, well, I'm okay with that. And what can happen is, instead of thinking, how do I move forward on this? We just accept that we don't have a life-work balance in our business. We bring all the habits from a teacher, and then we don't make any changes so that we do have a better life-work balance. We just carry on and accept that this is now our fate. And that's why we do the mentoring, because we're mentoring businesses who have created success, but now it feels like there's chaos because there isn't that balance, because we need to make sure things are in place so that it doesn't feel like you've got to work all the hours God sends. And the thing is, you have to want to do it. You have to want to do it as well. You've got to want to not make all of your time available to work. So if you're a teacher, you remember when you were in teaching and you just used to think all time that was not in the classroom was time to do planning. Maybe you didn't, but I was that person, and I've spoken to a lot of people who, yeah, that was the same. All time was available to work, and we can do that when we start a business, and I definitely did that. All time was then available to work. But you have to make these limits. So now, because I am getting ready to launch the club, I am thinking to myself every day, do I want to work this evening? Could I work this evening? Do I have the energy to work this evening? Does it work to work this evening? And you can be more strategic about it. So you can think, right, if I want to get 10 more pieces of content done more quickly, how long would they take me? And what am I willing to sacrifice for it? So maybe it could be that I do Tuesdays and Thursday evenings for 2 weeks. There is a lot more control than it seemed like there was before, when it was just never ending and there was marking and there was big writes and blah, 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 blah. It was all huge. But you've got to be willing. You've got to be willing to let go of being addicted to being needed it almost feels like you're needed by your business. And so you're just going to keep working on it all the time because that's what the business needs. And that is a really big mindset shift to make. And it took me 3-4 years to get there. And I didn't get there in the best way. I got there because I was so tired and because of my family situation, because I had 2 really young children, and also through COVID as well. But it was really, really tough. So the way to actually make sure that you feel balanced is, one, to get your mindset right around feeling balanced rather than feeling like you're working all the time. Getting that so you feel like there is a quality there. But also you have to let go. You have to let go of your business needing you and needing to work on it all the time. And I understand that. I remember getting team members in-house and feeling sad when I went on Skype, it was Skype for Business, on an evening and people not being there because work was my whole life and I did it all of the time. And then people had lives and they would log off. And it was this huge shift and quite lonely, actually. And I just needed to let go of the drug that was really pulling me in to be needed all of the time. So if you want to find a better life-work balance, you're going to have to seriously look at what's happening at the moment. Is it that you're saying it's okay? Is it that you're not thinking in the right way about your work? You're not categorizing it in the right way? You're not thinking of it in a supportive way? Is it that you're not letting go of tasks that you should be letting go of? Is it that you need to pass some of those tasks on? But the only way that you can move forward with this is by actually doing something about it. Taking each task, taking each thought, taking each limitation. So I'd love to know if that's resonated with you today, because I am going through it myself, just thinking about working and pushing that a bit further at the moment to get something out there that I really want to get out there. I thought it was worth talking about because I know that I'm in a place where I know that it's not forever. Yet the earlier days of Classroom Secrets, I felt like this was just going to be there forever and that I didn't really know how I was going to get out of it. Whereas now, obviously I've learnt that lesson. It's a different business model and it's for a season. Everything is for a season and then you get to pull back. So let me know if it was helpful and I'll see you next week.